Well, good morning, everybody. I know I'm late to this. Had to watch my youngest this morning, but I have been on the charts. It's been a little bit like watching paint dry, if I do say so myself. So, hopefully, everybody's kind of stayed out and aren't really subjecting themselves to this. Let's see. Let's hop out. Hit a 4-hour here. Well, We'll start with the daily. So NQ came up and tapped this daily gap. Did not quite get to this liquidity void up here, or the new week opening gap, and kind of started heading off lower. Right off the bat, we have FOMC this afternoon, so you really shouldn't be trading anyway. I mean, if there's one time that really should be kind of off limits to trade, it's probably the morning of FOMC. You're pretty much guaranteed poor price action. So, and it has delivered that guarantee because it has gone nowhere fast. There's the hourly on NQ kind of expanding downwards, but if we go hop up to the 5-minute, look at that. Look at that paint dry. It's awful. Awful. Let's see. There is, I believe, an SMT holding, well, for now, between ES and NQ, with ES being the stronger pair. But it kind of looks like that's fixing to get taken out. So not a lot to say here other than really shouldn't be trading. Honestly, probably just don't even bother being on the charts today. But so FOMC statement at, or release at 1, and then you've got I guess that's 2 Eastern, and then you've got the press conference at 2:30. So yeah, not much to do about this other than get wrecked, I guess.
Hey all, Peter Zion here, coming to you from Lake Wakatipu in Queenstown, New Zealand. It's the 21st locally, which means it's the 20th in the United States, which means that Donald Trump was just inaugurated, and we've had several dozen executive actions quickly thrown in there. There's a lifetime of material for me to work with in there, but I'm going to focus on the one that I think is actually most significant to how most Donald Trump supporters view the world, and that has with designating the Mexican cartels who traffic illegal narcotics into the United States as terror groups. Okay, let's talk about what it does, let's talk about what it doesn't do, and let's talk about where it's going to lead us. So what it doesn't do is strictly loosen the tools that the US military can use on foreign soil, because Mexico is not a country that we are at war with. So designating the cartels sponsors of terror doesn't really do much unless you also designate the Mexican government as a sponsor of terror. What it does is allows the US government to very easily move against any entities who are associated in any way with the cartels, especially from a financial point of view, especially if they're victims. So like if there's a taqueria in Mexico City that pays protection money to the cartels, this action would target them because of the financial transfers. But it's not actually going to encourage US Apache helicopters to be flying south of the border and blowing shit up. Keep in mind that the number one drug that is of concern from my point of view is no longer cocaine, it is fentanyl. And fentanyl as a synthetic has a very different supply chain. What happens with cocaine is it starts in Colombia, it's turned into a leaf, it's pressed into a brick, it's refined with gasoline, it's turned into the white powder that we all recognize. Well, hopefully we don't all. Cocaine is bad, don't do cocaine. Anyway, it is smuggled by plane, train, or automobile north and eventually makes the jump by water or air to Central America, where it gets on land and then goes into Mexico and up north. So interrupting cocaine flows, this is a good thing, we like this. That is not what we're dealing with. We're dealing with fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic, and what happens is in China you get a chemicals company that makes a precursor, which is then processed into another precursor. That precursor is put in the mail and is mailed to the United States, and then it is smuggled south across the border to a mom and pop shop that processes a few kilos of this stuff a month, and then that stuff comes north. That is where the money is, that is where the danger is, and this does nothing for that because the mom and pops aren't big enough to justify classification as terror groups because there's literally thousands of them as opposed to just a few cartels. Anyway, so it's going after the wrong thing. More importantly, when you identify a group as a terror group, you have also identified the people that they prey upon as victims of terrorism, right? We all agree with this, right? Well, if you identify someone as a victim of terrorism, then they automatically qualify for asylum status within the United States. So what Trump has done with this designation is designate 130 million Mexicans and 50 million Central Americans as automatically qualifying for US immigration protection. Now, if you dial back 4 or 5 years ago, I said that Donald Trump will long go down in history as the most
If there's one product in the RV space that I think needs to be improved more than anything else, it would be the rooftop air conditioner. These things are loud, inefficient, and honestly, a couple generations behind residential technology. But now, that's starting to change. So here it is. This is the first unit I've been able to get my hands on that packs inverter-based technology in an RV rooftop unit. This is the first time I'm actually going to be able to test this, and something I've been looking forward to for a long time. If you followed our channel in the past, you've seen me attempt to quiet down and make old air conditioners more efficient, and I didn't have a whole lot of luck with that. It really is going to take a drastic redesign of the air conditioner to improve these things, and this one might just do that. Before we get into this model, let's talk high level about RV and residential air conditioners. RV air conditioners are typically roof mounted because that's where the space is for us to install them. A lot of people are converting to what's called a mini split on their RV because they are residential based air conditioners that you can make work in a lot of RVs, and they are crazy efficient comparatively speaking, and they don't require roof space. So if you want to put solar on the roof, this can be a great option. I really wanted to do this in our RV, but our RV design just wasn't suited for the mini split conversion. So I was really wanting to see some new technology arrive in rooftop units. Basically, this unit is packing similar technology to what's in most mini split air conditioners, but in the rooftop unit, the first time that I've seen it. This word, inverter, on an air conditioner, you see it on mini splits, and you're gonna see it on the newer RV air conditioners going forward because it just makes them that much better. Basically means that this thing has the ability to slow its compressor and fan down to match the cooling requirement instead of just on, off, which can create more noise, lower efficiency, and generally a less optimized air conditioner. Now, inverter is a bit of a misnomer because inverter means it's converting DC to AC typically, but really this is more a variable frequency drive unit, meaning we've seen is about 46 degrees, but we've run it both. So we've had the air conditioner installed for about a month now. We've experienced hot temperatures, we've experienced cold temperatures. It's actually really cold right now, about 50 degrees. The coldest we've seen is about 46 degrees, but we've run it both in air conditioner and heat pump mode. We're gonna take a look at the data here in a second, but overall, it's a huge improvement. Just the feel of how it actually works is so much better than the fixed speed air conditioner, because it can really find the appropriate temperature and then kind of maintain it so much better. It can ramp itself down or up depending on the needs, and it just is able to maintain temperature so much better. I like the performance of this air conditioner so much that I've already decided I will probably never buy a fixed speed air conditioner again, because it's just that much better and it just makes so much sense. Let's take a look at a little bit of the data that we actually pulled off it. So let's recap on the original air conditioner. We were really only able to get at maximum close to 9,000 BTUs out of the unit, and that equated to an EER, or an energy efficiency ratio. We calculate an EER of around 5.5, 5.6 at maximum for this air conditioner. So even though it's a 15,000 BTU unit, this is pretty pathetic, and we were seeing reactive power upwards of 400 watts on this old unit. On low fan speeds around 320 watts. We'll talk about what that reactive power means here in a minute. The old air conditioner did work really well in heat pump mode. We saw almost 17,000 BTUs out of it. Again, that's probably because that evaporator unit is the limiting factor on these air conditioners. We'll talk about that in a little bit further as well. But let's take a look at the new unit. What's so cool about this unit is how low it can ramp down and how high it can ramp. Now, we ran it at full out for quite a while. and the unit maxed out around 12,500 BTUs. So getting pretty close to that 13.5, didn't quite make it,